Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another SCORE webinar. My name is Spencer High, and I am the Director of Member Engagement here at the Santa Clara County Association of Realtors. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a really great presentation on home inspection training from our friends here at HomeGuard. So I'm going to say a little bit about our hosts today, and then I will send it over to them. So today you'll be hearing from Travis Pulsner. He is the General Manager and ASHI Certified Home Inspector at HomeGuard. He's also a Branch 3 licensed termite inspector. We'll also be hearing from Ashley Stephenson, who is an account manager with HomeGuard, and Marlon Handley, who is a senior account manager also at HomeGuard. So with that, Ashley, Travis, and Marlon, if you'd like to join us in on the video, and we will get started.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, you guys.
Okay, so without further ado, my name is Ashley Stephenson, and just so we are all clear when we go through these presentations, there's a Q&A section, as I'm sure all of you are well familiar with. And if you have any questions, I'll be checking that by the end of every slide that Travis is going through. So that way, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to ask them in the Q&A, and I will be checking that at the end of every slide. Marlene, would you like to say a little bit?
Yes, can you hear me good? I'm going to do the commercial for HomeGuard. So good morning, everybody. HomeGuard's been around for over 30 years. The great part is when you call HomeGuard, you're able to order your termite, your property, your natural hazard, and your home warranty inspections all at the same time. So you're giving all the information one time. We have full E&O workman's comp liability. Also, the more you order, the more you save. When you order a termite and property inspection, you're going to get your roof inspection for free. Let me see. HomeGuard gives you rush reports of no extra charge for that. And also, when you do the 8:30 or the 10:30 appointment, you're going to get your reports on the same day. Yay! Amazing, right? I can't hear audience. I know that makes everybody happy, same day reports. Let me see. iPad summaries at the end of each inspection. The inspector will ask you if you have any questions and kind of give you a summary of what's going on in the property. We have Saturday inspection appointments available. And let me see, what else would you guys, no charge for further inspections when only an inspector is needed. So let me see. Oh, there's a question, but I'll wait. Ashley, anything else I should mention?
I know we got a question in the chats, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that this is recording, so this will be able to be shared and available to you afterwards. And somebody had also said if natural hazard disclosures is new to our company, and actually it is not, but we are available for you. We have a lot of different services, and we're very excited to do this advanced home inspection training. Travis is very amazing at this. So without further ado, I think we'll hand the torch over to Travis and allow him to begin his presentation.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. Good morning, everyone. So we're going to go over some training today. Let's talk about the agenda. So what are we going to talk about today? So just a few things I'm going to touch upon. First will be qualifications of our inspectors. So I will let you know exactly what training they go through and what you're expecting and what you can expect when you have one of our inspectors show up to your property. We're going to talk about the scope of inspections. So I'll go over what it is we're going to look at, what we're going to be inspecting and commenting on. Some people have expectations. So just to get it out there so everyone knows what exactly our inspections cover. Also going to talk about preparing the home for an inspection. This is very, very important. And honestly, if there's one thing you take away today when you come to this webinar, is that I stress this to everybody, read the reports, front to page, everything. That is one of the best things that I like to talk about. So I'm going to stress that, and that's part of preparing the home. And then that leads into the last topic, limiting liability. Again, read the report. So that is extremely key. So moving forward, we'll get into ASHI, the American Society for Home Inspectors. That is where all of our inspectors get their certification. The American Society for Home Inspectors has been around for quite some time. They are kind of like the premier, kind of #1 association across the nation. They started on the East Coast and kind of branched over here over the last 25, 30 years. So what does it mean to be ASHI certified? So when one of our inspectors, he comes on board, he gets trained, we teach him. We have a program that we teach all of our inspectors and go through. And a lot of our individuals that come on staff, they've had prior training in some field. Maybe they were a plumber, maybe they were a contractor, a carpenter. They have some kind of background like that, and that can play on their strengths. So some of them will be stronger in other areas. But we do need to teach them about every aspect of the home, from the roof all the way down to the foundation. So we go through a training program that gears them towards passing the National Home Inspectors exam. This test is the exam that's nationwide. It is used and recognized by many states throughout the country as the home inspector test. There are a lot of states out there that require that if you are going to perform a home inspection, you have passed that exam. California is not one of those states, but we ensure that all of our inspectors do pass that. So once they've passed the exam, that's one step done. The next step is to actually conduct 250 fee-paid inspections. Once you've done 250 inspections, you can officially say you are ASHI certified. You also have to go through their standards of practice course and follow their standards of practice. You have to go through a code of ethics course that ASHI has. Now, all this stuff is on their website. So if you ever want to see what it is, the standards of practice are, the codes of ethics, it is on their website. You could go search and take a look. The last thing that all of our inspectors do, and this is something that's extremely key and important to keep up, is your education. Because building materials change, building techniques change, things over time evolve with the building structures and what codes are required to be followed. All this stuff is changing on a continuing basis. So all of our inspectors have to keep that education up. ASHI does require us to do 20 hours of continuing education through every year. This needs to be done every year. So all of our inspectors are doing that. There's a lot of online courses they take to brush up on topics or learn more advanced topics to get them better, prepare them for the field so they can answer your questions. So that is what it means to be an ASHI inspector, and that is the training. Does anybody have any questions regarding that?
There is a question. It's not regarding ASHI, but it's regarding pictures on the findings. Somebody wants to know, would it be much easier to see the pics next to the findings? On termite reports, it's very hard to match up the pictures with the findings. So are the pictures lined up with the findings, and why doesn't this happen now?
That's a good question. The termite report, the layout, it's very specific in terms of what is required of us from the Structural Pest Control Board on what data and what information we have on the report. So the structure of having the pictures there, it is a little harder for us to try to get that into the computer system and make that work. So we could have the pictures. We were able to, in the home inspection report, put a summary page, and we kind of have a summary page there. It's something we could possibly look in. Thank you for that feedback, and I can definitely discuss that with some of our other managers and see if that's something maybe we can take into account in the future. So if there's any other questions on the topic of ASHI certification and what it means to be a certified inspector, otherwise, if not, I will continue on. All right, doesn't appear to be. I will continue on to the next topic there. The scope of the inspection. So this is very important because this is exactly what it is we're looking at, what it is we are required to comment on. So the American Society for Home Inspectors has a very specific set of guidelines. That's the standards of practice. These are what it is. They dictate and tell us exactly what it is we need to look at, what it is we need to comment and identify. If you look at our reports at the very bottom, there is a limitation section in that report, and in there it will list things that are more common that we may not comment on. But if you would like a full list of all of everything that we don't inspect, it is on their website. But I will go over some of the more important things right now. First and foremost, a home inspection is visual in nature. It is considered a snapshot of that one moment in time when the home inspector pulled up to the property and walked up. It is a snapshot. We are basically everything we can see at that time is what we're going to put in the report. So, and it's anything that's visual. So, you know, my guys, they don't have X-ray vision. We can't look in the walls. I wish we could. You know, there are tools that could allow that. But you know, it's again out of the scope of the inspection. So we are only going to look at anything we can visually see and anything that's readily accessible. And what do I mean by readily accessible? So that's like a electrical panel that could be opened with a screwdriver. That would be readily accessible. Or on the furnace, you know, hitting the button and open up that panel, that's considered readily accessible. So that's something the home inspector is going to take a look at. He will go ahead and open up that panel and look inside that furnace, look inside that electrical panel, and try to comment and see if there's anything wrong. We're not going to open up walls. We're not going to put holes in anything to try to look. You know, we don't have any sort of invasive equipment to scan and try to find things that are hidden. So it's just a visual inspection. The other thing is we're going to identify safety hazards. That's the biggest thing. And, you know, a lot of people tend to get the idea that we are looking for code violations. And that's something we're not actually doing. Now, we do comment on things that do associate with codes. We do point out things like the stairwell openings being too wide or the stairwells not being built to proper standards. And the reason why is it's a safety hazard. So, and you know, the code is there, and a lot of codes are established and created over time because, you know, we discovered that it wasn't safe to build stairs that way. And we discovered that there's a safer way to do it. And so codes were created to standardize and create safe practices. So a lot of what we talk about does align with codes and regulations from the city and state. So there is overlap there. But overall, we're not building inspectors. We're not signing permits. And I know sometimes our inspectors may say something is unsafe, and you know, a city inspector had already come and signed off on the permit for the house, and then now we're commenting, and there's a contradiction there. That does happen, and I can tell you, city inspectors, they don't look at everything. They are there for a very short window of time. They're, you know, usually understaffed, so they're rushing, and you know, they're trying to get in and out because they've got a lot of jobs to go. So they don't check everything. They spot check a lot of times. Specifically, if you have a permit that's rather large with a lot of items, they'll go check some of the more important key things. And also, again, it depends on the city inspector you get. So there can be contradiction there. So we are looking for safety hazards. We're looking for safety defects. And that's the next one, the significant defect. What is a significant defect? That would be something that's not functioning and not working the way it should. So again, furnace is a good example. Does a furnace light up? Does it fire up? If it doesn't, we're going to point that out because that's a significant defect. The water heater, is it leaking? That's a big defect. If we see piping that's leaking, again, those are all defects in the material or the system. So we're going to point that out to you. The next thing we're going to do is identify systems and components that are near or end their service life. So what does that? The roof, for example, we're going to look at the roof and comment on the sheathing and the quality, the condition of that. If it looks like it's a very old roof and it's nearing the end of its lifetime, we're going to point that out. Same with an older furnace. So maybe a lot of you know that there is a life expectancy for a furnace. Same with an AC. It's actually a little lower here in California in terms of the AC, the compressor, because we run them really hard during the hot season. So, you know, usually a compressor lasts 20 to 25 years. Going past that point, it can start to have issues and problems. So if our inspector sees a compressor that is 20 years old, he's going to point that out in the report and let you know that this is an older system and further maintenance may be required down the road, and it may eventually need to be replaced. Water heaters are a good example too. They usually last 8 to 10 years. Manufacturers usually won't warranty them after that because that's when they start to have problems. So again, if the water heater is over 8 to 10 years old, we're going to point that out and let you know that that's an older water heater in the house there. So that is kind of our scope of inspection. Again, it's visual. We're looking at anything we can see readily accessible. We're going to go up into that attic and take a look. Anything I can see from that attic hatch. A lot of attics we can't necessarily enter because it's not safe to do so for the inspector. So they're going to look exactly at what they can see. When we have a lot of things in the garage, we may miss stuff as well because there's stuff that's hidden away and we can't see. So Just remember, it's always a visual snapshot of that time when we're there, and we're going to look for those safety hazards, the significant defects, and systems components that are at the end of their life. Okay. Any questions about the scope of the inspection? Anything I didn't touch on there that you might have any concerns about or questions about? Let me know.
I think we're good to go, Travis.
Great. I'll move on to the next one. The next topic is how to prepare your home. This is a big one. I have a video here that I'm going to show everyone that kind of goes over what we would like with your clients when we come into the home to do an inspection. And this mainly is making things accessible for our inspectors so we can see. Ideal situation, the home is completely vacant. There's nothing in there. That's the best. That's the perfect. Makes it the easiest. We could see the most things because we don't have anything obstructing our view or preventing us from access something. But that's not always possible. We know that. So there are tips and things you can do to help get that home ready for our inspectors to reduce the chances of us not being able to see things. So I'll play that video right now for you. Oh, didn't start. I gotta click it here. Here we go.
Thank you for choosing HomeGuard to inspect your home. Our inspections provide valuable documentation about the condition of your property, so it's critical that your home is ready for the team of inspectors to perform a thorough inspection when they arrive. This short video will guide you in the steps you need to take to prepare your home for our inspections. Have a plan to control pets to keep them out of the way of the inspection. This could mean isolating dogs, cats, or other mobile pets in certain rooms. Be ready to safely move the pets to a separate room when the inspector is ready to examine the room with the pets in it. Next, an inspector cannot examine what he or she cannot see. Locks should be removed from exterior gates to allow full access, and from electrical panels to allow for a complete inspection. Also, make sure all rooms and closets are unlocked and accessible. It's important to clear boxes and storage away from the walls in the garage and any other room used as storage to allow the inspector to examine the foundation or floor. Any room or space that the inspector cannot inspect due to storage will be noted as inaccessible on the inspection report. Coming back to inspect that area at a later date could ultimately delay the transaction. And remember, inspectors are not allowed to move your belongings, so taking this step before the inspection maximizes the value for you. Open or remove window coverings that block viewing of window frames and casements. Make sure the attic, if you have one, is accessible. If the attic access is located in a closet, make sure the shelves under the access are free of storage and clothing. If the house has a crawl space underneath it, make sure it is easily accessible for the inspector. If the sub-area access is located in a closet, clear the space to allow the inspector entry underneath. If the sub-area access is outside, make sure to clear debris away from the access point. Next, confirm that the water, power, and gas services are turned on to the property. The inspector will check the working condition of most built-in appliances and fixtures, including heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical systems. If the house has been vacant for some time, this is a critical step to take prior to the appointment to allow us to fully inspect all working aspects of the structure. In short, the more of the property we can see and test, the more accurate your report will be.
Perfect. So that pretty much covers the basics in terms of preparing the home. And again, it's very important that we be able to see all the big systems in the home, furnace, we get access to that. So if there's stuff in the closet, we clear that out. Your water heater, your electrical panel. I mean, sometimes the electrical panels aren't placed in the best areas, and people like to cover them with pictures because they're kind of a big glaring thing, especially in condos. I've found them plenty of times hidden behind pictures. So this is the type of stuff that we definitely want to make sure that so you can relay to your clients and let them know to prepare that home. So when our inspector comes in, we can just give you a nice accurate report covering everything without having to worry about calling any further inspections. And this is going to segue into my next topic, which is limiting liability. So before I move on to that, any questions about preparing the home there in that video?
Good to go.
All right. So limiting liability, and this is a big one, and preparing your home has a lot to do with that, because if the home isn't fully prepared, my inspectors then end up having to call for further inspections. And again, that is when we miss things, and we don't have things that we would like to talk about and we need to point out, but now we couldn't point them out because we couldn't inspect those areas. Key areas are crawl space, electrical panels, and water heaters. So preparing that home and getting everything out of the way so that our inspectors can get in the crawl space is key. Now, the next thing, and I talked about this at the beginning, which was reading the report. So reading the report, again, top to bottom, is huge. And I have an example of our report here, a picture in the slide there. And I'll kind of go over the pages so you have an understanding of what's there. So this is using the roofing as an example. For first, we're going to have item descriptions. So at the top there, we're going to describe what it is we inspected. So this way you know what it is we took a look at, and there's full disclosure for everyone on what was inspected. And I know a lot of our reports, a lot of people, they get the report, and that very first, you got the cover shot, and then you have that summary. And that summary is, some of the more important key things that were pointed out in the inspection. And there's pictures there to go along with it. And a lot of people will read just that summary page, and they won't get into the body of the report. And if you don't read the body of the report, you're missing out on a lot of information and a lot of key things that could be there. And, everybody puts importance on different things. Some people might find a dishwasher, for example, being extremely important to them when buying that house. So if they didn't know something about the dishwasher because maybe they didn't read a little comment about it, that could cause an upset. I know we point out what we think is important by putting the picture and having that summary page there. And you can see on the report page, anything in red, that's going to be what is on the summary page. So using this example here in the slide, you can see there's seven comments that were made there in the roofing section under the recommendations. Only one of those comments is in red. So that one comment is on that summary page, but if you didn't get into the body of the report, you wouldn't read the other 6 comments that are there. So again, read the report top to bottom, because it also does describe what was limited in the inspection. At the very bottom of the page there is the limitations, what we didn't inspect. There's also the description, so you understand exactly what it was we did look, and any comments we're making. So don't get caught off guard when you have a question and someone calls and asks that, and I say, hey, check page 16 of your report, it was covered right there. So that is key. Again, the little things are on there, some small stuff, some stuff, again, you may not think is important, but someone else may think it's important. So just a good idea to read everything over so you totally understand what is going on with the property that you're either buying or selling. Okay, so read that report. And again, on the further inspections, we don't want to have to come back to the property to inspect. Nobody likes to have to schedule a second time for one of our inspectors to come out and take a look. So please ensure the home is prepped and ready to go. If you do have any questions regarding what exactly you need to have ready, if it wasn't covered in that video, you can always call our customer service reps. They can assist you with that and answer those questions. We do send out an email before the inspection with a summary of what to make available for us, clearing the stuff away from the wall in the garage, getting that crawl space access readily accessible, getting the attic accessible, and moving any storage out of the way. These are just key things. I see there's a couple questions here. A gas fireplace should be turned on before an inspection. Yeah, you don't necessarily, if it's one of those ones that requires a lighting with a pilot and all that stuff, I would recommend if you want our inspector to take a look at, yes, get that pilot lit prior to him getting there. A lot of the gas fireplaces nowadays, they have just a toggle switch, and the inspector can easily just click that switch on and it'll fire right up if everything is enabled. Some of the older ones require a lit pilot light. The gas inserts, the decorative gas logs that people stick in the wood burning fireplaces, the old wood burning fireplaces, those we don't test. So you don't have to worry about those. We test what's considered a gas appliance. So the ones you see in all the newer condos, all the new ones you see out there that you can just flick a switch and don't, those are actually considered gas appliances. So we do take those, we do test them. If they don't work, we will comment on them. And then I see another one, why don't you do roof work? In fact, we do roof work. So when our roof inspector comes out and he looks at the roof, he will provide a bid with the cost to do repairs. What we don't do is a complete replacement of a roof. We don't do re-roofs. So if our roof inspector sees that the roof is shot beyond repair, and in his opinion, it would be better and more cost efficient for you to just re-roof, then he will mention that. Yeah, okay. Glad I can answer that. Any other questions for me in terms of limiting liability? Anything I can help you with to limit your liability with your clients, to keep them safe? That's what we're here to do. You're paying us for our opinion, to provide you this information for your disclosures. So we're here to help you with that and limiting your liability. So, if you have any questions, now's the time on that one. No questions? Okay, I'm going to go into some examples, and this is further expounding on the limiting liability. I'm going to show you some stuff that I've seen out in the field. I was an inspector for 6 years prior to getting into management, and I saw a lot of things out there, and I kept some pictures, and I like to use them as examples to kind of go over some real world situations of what our inspectors are encountering out there. So here we go. This was a great one because this house, there was a lot of storage in this garage, and it actually prevented me from inspecting pretty much everything that I need to look at that's important. You can see the storage there. There's a crawl space access. And in that crawl space access here, let me see if I can get the pointer out. I forget how you get that. I don't know if you can see my mouse here, but right here where the storage where the Christmas tree is, there was a door there. That's the crawl space access. We couldn't get in there. And then right next to it is the electrical panel. And it wasn't easily accessible for my inspector and for me to take a look at. And then you see this little cord hanging here, this little cord hanging down. That's the pull down ladder for the attic. So couldn't pull that down and set that up so the inspector could get in there, take a look. So in this situation, there was a lot of areas we could not look at and comment on that could cover some key systems in the home. So we had to come back later at another date once everything is cleared out. And that's something we do offer. Again, you get that cleared out and it's now accessible. You can call us up. We'll send an inspector out to take a look and we will not charge you for that. So that is something, if it does happen, because we understand things do happen. A lot of the times when you're staging the home and getting it ready and the occupants living in there, I know a lot of stuff goes into the garage to make those pictures look a lot better and make that home look a lot better when you're showing. So we do understand it does happen. And these are the types of things that we can find and we could possibly not catch. So this is an electrical panel we weren't able to look into upon coming back to the property. This is what we saw. We see these red cords coming in here with the black cord. Well, that's an issue and that's a problem because that red cord is feeding some sub panel down the line there, and there's no shut off for that sub panel. So that sub panel is live all the time. I can't turn it off without pulling those cords out or shutting power off to the whole home. So that's not safe because it's not being controlled. The circuit breakers are there if there's too much power being pulled to shut off and to cut it before it overheats. And that panel is not being protected because it's being fed straight out of the lugs there. So that can be an issue. And that's something we can see. These are the types of things that remain hidden if we don't find. This is a great picture. You can see there in the middle of the picture there, you see that aluminum wiring and it's split. It actually broke and now you don't have a good solid connection for that circuit. And this can be an issue because now we have the possibility of an arc taking place. So the electricity could jump where that little piece of aluminum wire is sticking out, and an arc is extremely hot. It gets very, very hot. So it could actually melt that breaker. So that is it looks small, but is actually potentially an unsafe situation. So that's something we would want to comment on. And in this next picture here, you can see it actually is scorched a bit. It did overheat. That electrical wire overheated and we had an issue there. So something was drawing a little too much power, and that breaker didn't trip. So we had a faulty breaker. So these are the types of things we want to report on and let you know, because they're potential hazards. And these are some examples of electrical items that I've encountered. Any questions about that? Anything you'd like me to talk about on the electrical side of things?
I think we're good to go.
All right. So the next slide here, and this is a common one. I'm sure you see it all the time with your listings, and I see it all the time. A cluttered garage, lots of stuff in there. And, you know, there's a potential for us to miss a lot of things. You know, our termite inspectors may not be able to see some termites in that area. We may not be able to see problems with wiring, problems with the framing of the home. So these are key important things. So we definitely want to come back and check that garage after you get it cluttered out. So once you got clutters gone, please call us back and have us come back and check everything over for you. And, you know, in that garage, this is what I ended up finding once we cleared it out. We found some pretty shady wiring there. You can see there's some old knob and tube wiring, and that old knob and tube wiring was spliced right into some newer wiring, and that's definitely a no-no. In this day and age, we're not supposed to take any old knob and tube wiring connected to the new stuff. Technically, what they should have done is upgraded all that wiring to the new stuff. And I mean, on top of that, the non-metallic sheathing wiring there is not in a box. We would definitely, any sort of splice needs to be contained in a box. They did at least put the wire nuts on, I'll give them that. But we want that contained in a box, and then we definitely don't want to hook up old wiring to new wiring. That is not safe. And, you know, this is knob and tube. This is common. We're going to see this in the homes here in the Bay Area, specifically in the peninsula. You also see it up in Oakland a lot, Hayward area there, where we got a lot of homes from the 30s and the 20s. Downtown San Jose, we'll see them in the homes there, the old Victorians around there. So we definitely want to see this stuff so we can let you know that that old wiring exists. And here again in the attic was some wiring that, you know, I wasn't able to get up into an attic, and so I didn't know that this house had knob and tube still. They had left some of it in use up in that attic, and to make matters worse, it's covered in insulation. We definitely never want to cover knob and tube, because the knob and tube wiring is essentially just bare copper covered with a cloth. And that cloth over time can deteriorate, exposing that hot wire. And that can be a problem. Rodents like to chew on them and things like that as well. So we definitely don't want to cover it. It creates hot spots. So we want to know, and you, I'm sure, want to know if there's knob and tube present in the home. Okay. And then, you know, a lot of the times, this is a box that was underneath the kitchen sink. And, you know, a lot of the times when you're getting your home ready to stage and the owners are in there, you shove everything up underneath the sinks, and you know, pack it full of stuff in there because you just got to get it off the countertop. I understand. But then we may not see something like that because that underneath that sink there is just full of cleaning products or whatnot, and I cannot see. So it's a good idea to clear those areas out for the inspectors so they can see what's going on. And this was right underneath the kitchen sink. That's a plug for a disposal and a dishwasher. And I mean, someone tried to stick it in the box using duct tape. I know duct tape's a good solution for a lot of problems. But in this case, for electrical and trying to hold an outlet like that in there, not a good idea. It would have been better and safer to just use a screw and then put a cover on that. And that would have been a more standard way to do things, a safer way, especially because we got a source of water right there with the sink. Okay. Any questions on that? Main breakers. Sorry, I see your question. Main breakers. So your question is, what is a main breaker? The main breaker is the shutoff that turns the power to the whole home off. So every home has one, no matter what. Even condos, you will have a shutoff to cut power in your unit. So every home has a main breaker to turn off the electricity. And that way you could just safely, just with one switch, turn off power to the whole home. So it's usually located on the outside of the home where the mast and the overhead electrical line or underground electrical line is coming to the home. It'll be located right there. Your meter box with the meter is also right there typically. So always good idea to know where your main breaker is, because in an emergency, that's what you want to go shut off. It's much easier to flick one switch rather than having to hit a whole bunch of breakers in that panel in your garage. And a lot of times the sub panels in the garage are just the individual breakers. So it's a good idea to know where that is. So in a safe situation. And if you have questions on where that is, ask the inspector. We do locate in the report where the main breaker is. So we will state, was it on the exterior left side of the home, at the rear of the home, at the front of the home? We're going to locate that for you in the report so you have an idea. So anybody buying the home knows where that is. Okay. So to move on here, any questions about wiring or the electrical?
I think we're good to go.
So moving on here, inaccessible crawl spaces. This is a common one. This was an outside access for a hillside home. So nice big spacious crawl space with a great easy access door there. So what do people want to do? They want to put storage in there, and I totally get it. It's a great place to put a bunch of extra boxes you want to save and just throw them in there, get them out of sight, out of mind, right? But again, that makes that hard for our inspector to get in there, take a look at what's going on underneath the home. Some of the most important components underneath there, your plumbing, that we want to see. We want to ensure your plumbing's in good condition, that you don't have any leaks or sewage issues. We want to look at the foundation of the house, look for cracks, look for the anchor bolting, ensure that that home is secured to the foundation. We want to look at your floor structure. Termite inspectors, that's a common area for subterranean termites and to find drywood termites. So again, crawl space, very, very, very key area for us to take a look at. That is one that, and I'm sure you're aware of that. Everybody wants to know what's going on underneath there. So let's always ensure that that's accessible for our inspector. Good idea to check before the inspector comes. Just go and double check, ensure that there isn't anything there blocking them. So there's no surprise when the inspector shows up and it's like, oh, you can't get in. So let's just, take a look and check, double check with the homeowner to ensure that that's accessible. In this case, I couldn't get underneath, and there was a tub drain that was disconnected on this home, and that tub drain you can see there is completely disconnected. So any water is just going to be spilling right out into that crawl space. So that's definitely something everybody would want to know and be aware of. So these are the types of things that we do end up missing because we can't get underneath. So very key, very important. Always, 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 always clear up your further inspections. Have us come back and clear those up. And that's the best way to limit liability for you and for your client as well. Okay. Any questions about the crawl spaces and us inspecting those crawl spaces?
Good to go.
All right. So just to recap, what did we talk about today? We talked about ASHI certification. Our home inspectors, they all get their ASHI certification. That means they've all passed the National Home Inspectors exam. They've all done 250 inspections prior to becoming certified. So there's a little bit of an experience there. They also continue their education on a yearly basis with 20 hours continuing education. Make sure you advise your client that a home inspection is visible inspections only, that we're looking for safety hazards and defects in the systems and components. And we're also going to point out anything that is at or nearing the end of its service life. And then lastly, definitely help your client prepare their home for the inspection. Those videos are on our website if you want to have them watch that. Take a look for that email that we send when we confirm the inspection. It does list some of the things we would like to make sure we have access to. Double check with your client to ensure there's nothing stopping us from getting into that crawl space, that attic, the water heater, the furnace closet, and that electrical panel. Those are the most common things that we tend to not get access to. And then let's limit liability. Let's do what we can to limit everybody's liability. Read the reports. Make sure you read those reports over. And if you ever have any questions on those reports after reading everything, just give us a call. You can call one of our managers. You can call customer service and talk to the inspector directly if you have questions. And he will always go over what he finds with you if you are there at the property when the inspector does that inspection. They will talk about and go over their findings with you. They'll use the iPad and show you the pictures that they're going to put in the report and talk about what they found. So it's always a good idea to be there. But if you can't, we'll send you that report, read it over. If you have any questions, give us a call. We'll get that clarified for you right away. Okay. So again, now's the time. If you have any questions about anything inspection related, anything I can help you with or do for you, now's the time to ask before I pass it over to Ashley and Marlon to close out today's presentation. Anything for me? No? Okay. So I will hand it over to Ashley. I'm going to move on to the next slide here.
Thanks, Travis.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Travis.
That's so great always watching these presentations, because every time I feel like I learned something new. And like Travis was saying with our how to prep video that was shown in this presentation, our website is filled with so many great sources of information. We are constantly updating it. We definitely pride ourselves on being industry leaders. So we do have Facebook that we also share lots of things, such as I'm sure this webinar, once it's finished, we will share it. And we have Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are available on any sort of platform and resource that you need, and all of our platforms are very informative and great resources, and we just want to provide you guys with the best tools for business. So like Travis said, feel free, please do reach out to your inspectors, give us a call, reach out to your account managers, myself or Marlene. We will happily be here to help you with absolutely anything that you need. You guys are still working, we're still working, we're here. And there's a little pop quiz question, actually, in case any of you have been paying attention. You can get a $50 with HomeGuard bucks that you can use towards any inspection company. All you have to do is send me an email and let me know what is the single most important thing to do to limit your liability. We talked about it a lot in this presentation. If there's one thing you can take away from this presentation to limit your liability, what is that? So if you can email me that, I can send you guys 50 HomeGuards bucks if you get it correct with our information, price sheets, brochures. Thank you so much for having us again. Marlene, anything you'd like to add?
That's it. Great job, Travis. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I see there's a couple of questions that came in there at the end. I think this one might be for you, Marlon or Ashley. Can you explain your pricing and billing structure?
It goes by square footage, and also with pricing, because we do have so many services under our belt. The more you order, the more you save. So for example, if you were to get a termite and a home inspection, you can actually get your roof inspection for free and a discounted price on your natural hazard disclosure and a discount on your home warranty. So that being said, obviously the more you order with our company, the more you save, but it breaks down price wise based off of square footage of the home.
Great. And there's one more question here. Why do inspectors double up the reports? I'm guessing maybe the question is referring to the fact that you get 3 reports for one property. You get a termite, home inspection report, and a roof report, and they're all separate. And that's because, we have to keep them separate. We can't really combine them into one report. The termite report specifically is governed by the Structural Pest Control Board. That is a law that tells us exactly what it is we have to put in those reports, and we have to file those with the state. So after any termite inspection, we have to send that report to the state of California, and it becomes a matter of public record. The home inspection report, that's not public record. That is a report between the home inspector and us and HomeGuard and whoever paid us for that inspection. So that is a private report between the payee and us. And if you choose to disclose that report to everybody, that is up to you. And you can get that report out there. But technically, that report is private between us, and same would apply to the roof inspection report. So I hope that answers that question best. One report, but two parts of the same info. So what info would that be? Are you talking maybe about the roofing section, or what info exactly? Okay, exact same info. Trying to get an idea. You mean the summary page, and then yeah, so the summary page is there specifically as to point out a summary, because people do like to get a summary of what's, kind of the more important things in our opinion. So that's what that summary page is there for, to detail the stuff that we recommend to be more important to get fixed on a priority basis. So there's that summary page, and then there's the actual body of the report, and the body report has everything is there. So if you were to, rip off the summary page and that you didn't have that, you would still at least have all the information available there. So that is just the way the report is set up. That structure has worked well. I know a lot of other home inspector companies do the same thing, where you have a summary page going over the important key elements, and then the body of the report that contains everything. I hope that answered that for you. Any other questions before we finish off? And then, we'll just say thank you for having us and for listening. And if you have any questions ever about anything, I'm always around. You can always contact my office. You can contact our customer service reps, and you can contact any of the sales reps to get questions answered. We are there to help you answer your questions and make it easier for you to sell your homes with our reports. So again, always feel free to ask questions. Okay.
I know Spencer dropped my email in the chat. I just want to point out again, if you want those free HomeGuard books, if you can answer the pop quiz question, there is my email listed right there on the screen for you as well. Thank you so much, Travis.
Yep. Thank you. I hope everybody learned something today.